Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. We're going to be analyzing today Maseches Yevamos Daf Nun Tet number 59. We really have an incredible shir for you today. And it's based on two psukim in the Torah. Let's start with the psukim. We'll start from the Torah. And you know what? It's this week's Parsha. Parsha's Emor. So, it's really, if you want, you're at a Kiddush this Shabbos, you're at a Shalom Zachar, right? You're schmoozing about stuff, about Naftali Bennett, about Joe Biden, whoever you're schmoozing about, you're talking about, I don't know, the NBA playoffs. Is John Moran better than Steph Curry? I mean, this is what you're talking about. I'm giving you something else to talk about. You can elevate the Shalom Zachar. Talk about what I'm going to tell you today about this week's Parsha. You don't just tell them a nice vor on the Parsha about the Kedusha of a Kohen, and we have to give extra kavod to the Kohanim and say a nice little drush. No, I'm going to tell you lomdos, analysis from two psukim in the Torah. It says in Pasuk Yigil Perachaf Aleph, it says, "V'hu isha b'sula yikach." A Kohen Gadol is more than a Kohen. He has to marry a virgin. You have to marry a virgin, right? Some men, when they go on a date, they don't want to marry a widow or a divorced woman. They want to marry a virgin. Kohen Gadol has to marry a virgin. It's a mitzvah. And then the next pasuk says, "Almana grusha b'chala zona it's yikach." Kohen Gadol can't marry, is allowed to marry an almana, a widow, right? Or a grusha chala and zona. Those even a Kohen can't marry. Ki im besula me'ama v'yikach isha. Then it reiterates the same thing. He must marry a besula. So why two psukim? First of all, the first pasuk is just a mitzvah. A mitzvah's estim in the Torah. He has to marry a besula. The second is talking about isurim and almana. Ki im besula sounds like what? Sounds like I'm going to say it means it's an essay. It says ki im besula yikach isha. It's a positive thing. It's saying he must marry a psula, but because it's in the context of a pasuk of thing woman he can't marry, so we'd say it's a lav b'amikal essay. It has didn't have an isser essay. That if he marries someone who's a ba'ula, who's not a virgin, he committed an isser essay. Now, we have an interesting machlokes in the Mishnah over here on Nun Teram and Aleph, right? Kohen Gadol, let's read the Mishnah. Kohen Gadol Lisa Almana Almana Ben Eresin Ben Almana Nesuin. If she's a widow, she was married to another man legitimately, mikudeshes to another man, even if she was just engaged, and then the husband died, even if he didn't divorce her from an heiress, and he died, so she materials to a Kohen, a regular Kohen Gadol, she can't marry. Even that's a lav in the Torah. Now it talks about something else. Lo Yisa as a Bogeres. Even if she wasn't previously married or engaged to anybody, he can't marry a Bogeres. Bogeres is someone who's 12 and a half years old, who has developed pubic hairs, and she loses, the Gemara describes this, she loses mixas basulim, she loses part of her hymen, so she's not a complete basula. Rabbi Shimon says no problem with the bogeres. Everyone seems to agree on mukas is someone who got wood lodged in her vagina and removed the hymen completely. Then everyone would agree he can't marry her because she's not a virgin, technically. The Gemara explains the machlokes between Reb Meir, who's a Tanakama, and Reb Shimon. The Gemara says, "Tana Rabbanim hu isha b'sulei yikach pral bogeres shekol b'sulei divrei Reb Meir." Reb Shimon machshir bogeres. Michael Mifli, what's the argument? Reb Meir saw b'sula afilu mixes b'sulim mashma b'sula yikach kol b'sulim. He says the extra yud tells me that if she is missing even part of her b'sulim, even if she has mixes b'sulim, a bogeres as partial, she loses part of the skin there. So therefore, she's not considered a virgin. And then he says, the extra bays, comes to tell you there is a type of mixus virgin. She's not a complete virgin, but she's not a complete nivelis. If she was nivelis to someone shalokadarka, I mean, some man came, she wasn't engaged to that man or married to the man, he came and he was with her from behind, right? So then that would be kosher according to the mayor. A Kohen Gadol could marry such a lady. And Rozer and Shimon said exactly the opposite. They say b'sula shlema mashma. B'sula, the extra good, a mixes b'sula. Even if she's a Bulgarian, she has mixed b'sula, and that's okay. The b'sula, the extra baby, that she call b'sula. Even if she was together with another man, shalokadarka, in an unnatural way from behind, anal sex. So therefore, according to Elazar Shimon, she would be a psula. She wouldn't be called a psula for that. So they argue about two different things. I'd like to say over here that this machlokes, where is the source of this machlokes? It's from the first pasuk, right? Bipsula, either darshan or bipsula. So when it comes to the mitzvah of, there's a mitzvah to marry a psula. So if she's a mixas, it's much from the pasuk, the way the Torah words it, an extra bays and an extra yud comes to include one mixas psulim is okay and one mixas psulim is not okay. Which one is okay? Which one's not okay? So that is a machlokes about the mitzvah. The mitzvah of marrying a psula, of marrying a virgin, if she's a mixas psula, so she's not included. Which mixas psula we're now talking about? That's machlokes for Meir or Shimon. So according to the Meir, he's not makayim the mitzvah of marrying a virgin. He's mavatal the mitzvah essay of mitzvah of marrying a virgin if he marries somebody who's a bogeres. And Elazar Shimon thinks he's mavatal the mitzvah if he marries a woman who is nivela shelo kedarka. Now, what is this based on? The Gemara before the Mishnah says that if she's a bogeres, it's called ishtani gufa. Her body changes a little bit, meaning because she lost part of the hymen, so therefore her body changes. And similarly, according to Elazar Shimon, her body changes also because when you do anal sex, I guess it widens the hole in the back. So therefore, it widens the hole in the back. So therefore, there's a mixas change in our body. There's a change in our body. The next pasuk is more than just not doing a mitzvah essay. There's an extra, actually an isser essay. An isser essay in that, and that kim besula ma'ama v'yikach isha, that is talking about something else. That's talking about if she had a bia done to her. If she had a bia done, that's coming out almana. Now the Israel almana beimena erisin. That this second pasuk is talking about the concept of you can't marry somebody else was married to her. If somebody else was married to her or engaged to her, if somebody else, another man is connected to this lady, that's the Isser essay. Meaning, if there's no one else connected to the lady, right, be a shloga darka, or she's a bogeres, so maybe you're mavatal Mrs. essay. But if someone, she's connected to another man, so if she's connected for kiddushin or erison, and then she's almana from that, it's allowed in the Torah to marry because she's mekadesh to another man. And even if she's not connected, that's the Gemara Nun Tenamud Beis over here. The Gemara Nun Tenamud Beis says, Nivala lebehema ksheira lakahuna. If she's nivelas to a behema, she's ksheira to the kahuna. Now, if she is nivelas from the front, so that she lost her hymen, so then for sure he can't marry her because he's not mekayim mitzvah psula. She's not a virgin. But then, but a behema doesn't make her a behema. That's the explanation of the Gemara is that a behema doesn't make her someone else's wife. You can be a wife to another man. You can't be a wife to a behema. So therefore, even if she's nivelas to a behema, that would not fall into the rubric of the Isser essay. The Isser essay has something to do with being connected to a man, having bia with a man. So if she has bia with a man and she loses her virginity completely, right? So then everyone would agree that just like being mikudeshes to a man, if she's nivelas in kedarka in a natural way, she loses her virginity completely. She doesn't have her psulim, so that's the Isser essay, right? The mitzvah essay, or even not makayim, if she's mitzvah psulim, but you're not going to violate the Isser essay, which is the second pasuk, until she lost her virginity completely. She has no hymen. But the Gemara's chiddush on Nun Tenamud Beis is that if she's also an animal is not considered a companion. It's not considered someone else's wife. Part of the Isser of psula, a virgin. It's not just about the mitzvah is to marry a complete woman who has a complete hymen. That's the mitzvah. The Isser essay is to marry a woman who has a relationship with another man, had a previous relationship with another man. She's another man. That's Kohen Gadol have to treat him like a special person to marry a woman who has a connection either through kiddushin to somebody else or a bia kedarka to somebody else would be something that would be an Isser essay. And that's what the Gemara is saying. If it's a behema, she's ksheira l'kahuna. And the Gemara says even the Kohen Gadol she's ksheira, right? She's ksheira l'Kohen Gadol. So the Rebbe said, but it's talking about the case where it was a girl that had anal sex with the animal from behind. That's the Gemara said, on behind, because for the kahuna, right, to be another man's wife, a regular kohen, right, even if it was the natural way, there's no Israel on a virgin. But if it was an animal, so if it removed the psulim, right, so that's a shino in the goof. So that would only be a negation of not doing the mitzvah's essay. This is my finish. But if the hema she's shera lakuna, that's only ma'achora, because if it's ma'achora, so then it's mitzvah shina aguf. So therefore, there's the only isser is losing the psulim kedarka. She lost the psulim legamri. She's a value mitzvah's essay. But as we said before, a behema is not considered a companion, so there's no talk about the second pasuk of the isser essay. That's actually has a relationship with another human being. Animal is not considered a human being. I hope you enjoyed today's shir. See you tomorrow.